Marcus Rodriguez wiped the grease from his hands for what felt like the 100th time that morning, glancing at the clock on his truck's dashboard. 6:47 a.m. He had exactly 13 minutes to drop his daughter, Sophia, at school and make it to the warehouse for his shift. 13 minutes to keep the life he'd carefully constructed from falling apart. As a single father working double shifts to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads, every minute mattered. Every dollar counted. Missing a shift wasn't just about lost wages. It meant risking the job that kept his 7-year-old in dance classes and ensured she never felt the weight of their struggles. But fate, as Marcus would soon discover, had other plans for that Tuesday morning. Plans that would prove some moments are worth more than a paycheck, and some decisions echo far beyond what we can imagine. The highway stretched before them, relatively empty in the early morning light. Sophia sat in the back seat, her small hands clutching her backpack, humming a tune from her recent dance recital. Marcus smiled at her in the rearview mirror, his heart swelling with the familiar mixture of love and worry that defined his days since Maria had passed 3 years ago. Every morning felt like a small victory. Another day of being both mother and father, of being enough. That's when he saw it. A black Mercedes sedan swerving erratically across 3 lanes, narrowly missing the concrete barrier before careening toward the shoulder. Marcus's instincts kicked in before his mind could catch up. He pressed the accelerator, pulling alongside the luxury vehicle just as it lurched violently to the right. Through the tinted windows, he could see the driver slumped over the wheel, unconscious. "Daddy, what's happening?" Sophia's voice trembled from the back seat. "It's okay, baby. Just stay calm." Marcus's heart hammered as he maneuvered his old pickup truck in front of the Mercedes, gradually slowing down, using his vehicle to guide the sedan safely toward the shoulder. The Mercedes clipped his rear bumper, sending a shudder through the truck, but Marcus held steady. Metal scraped against metal as both vehicles came to a stop on the side of the highway. Marcus threw his truck into park and jumped out, his phone already in hand, dialing 911. He yanked open the Mercedes door to find a man in his 60s, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, barely breathing. His lips had a bluish tint and his chest barely moved. "Sir, can you hear me?" Marcus checked for a pulse, weak and irregular. In the background, he could hear Sophia crying. The 911 operator's voice crackled through his phone speaker, asking questions, giving instructions. Marcus had taken a CPR course years ago, back when Maria was pregnant. Thinking he'd never need it, his hands shook as he carefully pulled the man from the vehicle and began chest compressions. Come on," Marcus whispered, counting under his breath. Sweat dripped down his face despite the cool morning air. Behind him, Sophia had climbed out of the truck, standing a safe distance away, her small face pale with fear. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only minutes, the man gasped, his eyes flickering open. The sound of sirens grew louder in the distance. Marcus sat back on his heels, his entire body trembling with adrenaline. "You're okay. Help is coming. Just breathe slowly," Marcus said, his hand on the man's shoulder. The man's eyes focused on Marcus, confusion giving way to understanding. He tried to speak, but Marcus shook his head. "Don't talk. Just breathe. You're going to be fine." The ambulance arrived, followed by 2 police cars. Paramedics swarmed the scene, taking over care of the man, while a police officer approached Marcus for a statement. Through it all, Marcus kept one eye on Sophia, who was now sitting in his truck, wrapped in his work jacket. The officer took his information, commended his quick thinking, and finally released them. Marcus checked his phone. 8:23 a.m. He'd missed his shift. He'd missed the crucial window at the warehouse where showing up late was the same as not showing up at all. His supervisor, Mr. Henderson, wasn't known for his understanding nature. Marcus's stomach churned as he called in, listening to the expected fury on the other end of the line. "I had to help someone. There was an accident." Marcus tried to explain, but the response was curt. They'd discuss it when he came in tomorrow, if he still had a job to come back to. That evening, after dropping Sophia at his sister's house and spending hours at the warehouse, groveling for his job, which he'd managed to keep by the thinnest of margins, Marcus returned home exhausted. Their small rental house in the outskirts of Dallas looked especially tired in the fading light. The fence needed painting, the lawn needed mowing, and the step on the front porch still creaked. All things that required time and money he didn't have. He heated up leftover spaghetti and collapsed on the couch, letting the weight of the day settle on his shoulders. He'd done the right thing, he knew that. But doing the right thing didn't pay the bills or replace the wages he'd lost. It didn't fix his damaged truck bumper or guarantee his supervisor wouldn't find a reason to let him go at the next opportunity. 3 days passed. Marcus worked his shifts, drove Sophia to school, helped with homework, and tried not to think about the man on the highway. He hoped the stranger had recovered, but that morning already felt like a distant dream, just another struggle in a life full of them. On Friday afternoon, Marcus was in the garage changing his truck's oil when he heard it, a deep, rhythmic thumping that grew louder by the second. Sophia ran outside, her eyes wide. "Daddy, there's a helicopter!" Marcus emerged from under his truck, wiping his hands on a rag, squinting up at the sky. Sure enough, a sleek black helicopter was descending, kicking up dust and leaves from their small yard. Neighbors poured out of their houses, phones raised, recording the spectacle. The helicopter landed in the empty lot next to their property. Marcus instinctively pulled Sophia behind him, his heart racing. The door opened, and out stepped the man from the highway, looking remarkably healthy and accompanied by 2 people in business suits. "Mr. Rodriguez!" The man called out over the dying whir of the helicopter blades, walking toward them with purpose. "I've been looking for you." Marcus stood frozen as the man approached, extending his hand. "I'm Richard Chen. You saved my life on Tuesday." I just did what anyone would do," Marcus stammered, shaking the offered hand. "That's where you're wrong." Richard's eyes were intense, sincere. "I had a massive heart attack. The doctors told me that without immediate intervention, I wouldn't have made it. You didn't just stop to help. You risked your own safety, sacrificed your job to save a complete stranger." Marcus shrugged, uncomfortable with the attention as neighbors crept closer, listening. "My daughter was in the car. I couldn't teach her to drive past someone in need." Richard smiled, glancing at Sophia, who peeked out from behind her father. "I did some research, Mr. Rodriguez. I know you're working 2 jobs. I know you lost wages that day. I know your supervisor gave you hell for missing your shift." He paused. "I also know you're a good man trying to give his daughter the best life possible. Mr. Chen, you don't need to—" "Richard, please." "And yes, I do." He nodded to one of the people accompanying him, who stepped forward with a folder. "I'm the CEO of Chen Technologies. Maybe you've heard of us?" Marcus had. They manufactured components for smartphones and computers, a billion-dollar company headquartered in Dallas. He nodded slowly, unsure where this was going. "I'd like to offer you a position with my company. Operations manager at our Dallas facility. Full benefits, college fund for Sophia, and a signing bonus to cover your immediate needs, including that truck bumper repair." Richard's expression softened. "But more than that, I want you to know that what you did mattered. Your kindness, your humanity in a moment when you had every reason to. Think of yourself first. That's the kind of person I want in my organization. That's the kind of person I want my own children to learn from." Marcus felt his knees weaken. Sophia clutched his hand tighter. I don't know what to say." "Say you'll consider it. Take the weekend, read the offer, talk to Sophia. But know this, Tuesday morning, you didn't just save my life. You reminded me why I built this company in the first place, to create opportunities for good people, to make a difference." Richard placed his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Let me make a difference in your life the way you made a difference in mine." Tears blurred Marcus's vision as he looked down at Sophia, whose face had broken into the widest smile he'd seen since Maria died. He thought about all the mornings rushing to make it on time, all the nights worrying about bills, all the moments he'd wondered if he was doing enough for his daughter. "Thank you," Marcus whispered, his voice breaking. "Thank you for seeing us." As the helicopter lifted off 20 minutes later, after Richard had spent time talking with Sophia about her dreams and her dance classes, Marcus stood in his yard with the job offer in his hands and his daughter by his side. The neighbors slowly dispersed, buzzing with excitement and disbelief. That night, Marcus sat on Sophia's bed as she drifted off to sleep. "Daddy?" she murmured, her eyes heavy. "Is Mr. Chen like an angel?" Marcus smiled, brushing hair from her forehead. "No, baby. He's just a person like you and me. But today we learned something important. When you do good things, even when it's hard, even when it costs you something, the universe has a way of remembering. Kindness echoes, Sophia. Always remember that. As she slept, Marcus stood at her doorway, watching her peaceful face in the night light's glow. He thought about split-second decisions and their ripple effects, about highways and helicopters, about the thin line between hardship and hope. He'd missed his shift to save a life, never imagining that in doing so, he'd saved his own. The next morning, Marcus called Richard Chen and accepted the position. But more importantly, he understood something profound. We're all one moment away from either giving or receiving grace. And sometimes, the greatest gift we can offer the world is simply choosing to be human when it matters most.